Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Pregame Show. It is a special Thursday morning edition of the Pewter Report podcast and Pewter Pregame Show as the Bucs play on Thursday Night Football in primetime, a divisional game against the Atlanta Falcons. And if you couldn't tell by all of the orange in this photo and the Bucco Bruce logo, it's a Creamsicle game, which brings its own controversy, let alone the controversy going on with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team as they are fighting for their lives to stay tied at the top of the NFC South division. So a very important game, a must-win game for the Bucs, and we're going to break it all down this morning and get to some comments, super chats, and all that fun stuff as well. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. I love the Bucky's hat, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Trying to provide some inspiration for the team, and maybe this will help Bucky Irving specifically, who's done pretty well since he's come back, but regardless.
I know. Yeah. A little inside joke there. We always make a Bucky stop that just about bankrupts us every time we go to
Mobile, I spend over $100 pretty much every time I go to Bucky's.
There's one close to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, just outside, and of course now they're building one in Ocala off 75. So we'll have two opportunities to go bankrupt each year. We trek north to the Senior Bowl. So we'll find out pretty soon. Maybe we'll find out, Matt, after this game, if we're going to be shifting gears towards the draft in the Senior Bowl, or if this team is going to stay alive in the NFC South playoff picture. I as I just told you before we started the show, I'm super excited about this game because I have no idea what to expect. I mean, I thought I knew what to expect last week when the Saints were coming to town. Oh, good. They're going to get back-to-back wins against the Cardinals and the Falcons or the Saints. And then, hopefully another one against the Falcons, follow the script. And those three losses that they had after the bye would be kind of erased or made up for heading into a big showdown against the Carolina Panthers. But, those stingy Saints did the same thing to Tampa Bay that they did to Carolina. They got a road win. And now the Bucs have to not only beat the Falcons, Matt, but they got to root for the Saints to beat the Panthers at home. Otherwise, this could be a situation where a loss tonight and a win by Carolina on Sunday, all of a sudden the Buccaneers are looking up at the Panthers for the first time in the NFC South standings.
Yeah, it very much feels like the Bucs have to win out and win 4 games in a row to clinch the division, but also maybe 3 and 4 gets it done because you are beating the Panthers presumably in one of those 3 out of the 4, but hopefully twice in that 3 out of the 4, and that would get you the division. And I think there's so much intrigue in this game because there's plenty of variables that can make this game and go in so many different directions. There's no question the Bucs offense has struggled in recent weeks and really have struggled to just throw the football down the field more than 10 to 15 yards. So you go into this game thinking, oh, they might struggle there again, but help is on the way with Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan. Does this automatically formulate the Bucs into a 30-point scoring machine that gets immediately back on track? Maybe. Then you have the boogeyman, Kirk Cousins, playing against the and I never thought I'd call Kirk Cousins the boogeyman, but that's what he's been to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 500 yards against them last year, 8 touchdowns total in 2 games. Do we get the Kirk Cousins performance that he had against the Bucs last season?
Yeah.
Or does Kirk Cousins look like he does against the rest of the league, where he struggles and he's showing his age and kind of can't keep up with modern day football? Does the defense get back on track, or does the defense suffer from bad play calling, inability to adjust to the offense attacking what the defense is poor at, and also not having Tyke Smith? I think is going to really weigh heavy on this game more than we've really talked about too much, because he's been the guy that's been the playmaker, the ass kicker, and the main catalyst for this defense when they are doing things right. And what's been going right has been very few and far between, but missing or likely missing because he's doubtful. Arguably, their piece on defense is a major factor in this game.
You're right. And they really need the other guy right there, Antoine Winfield Jr. He's the guy that has kind of been making those plays that we saw Tyke Smith make right there in that Patriots game. Winfield has got to be that guy tonight. He has got to really shine on Thursday Night Football. He's played better than he has last year because he's been healthier, but he's nowhere near what he was in 2023 when he got the All-Pro honors, the huge contract extension, and all of that. And no one expects those Herculean numbers because, let's face it, I mean, that was a career year that he had, right?
Yeah.
6 sacks, I think 6 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, 3 or 4 fumble recoveries, knocking the ball out to save touchdowns at the goal line a couple of times that season. That's a once-in-a-lifetime season. The Bucs would be fine, though, Matt, with half of that production, 3 sacks rather than 6, 3 forced fumbles rather than 6. So if they could just get a few more plays down the stretch starting tonight from Antoine Winfield Jr., that would make up for the loss of Tyke Smith. And since you mentioned Tyke Smith, let's get into the injury report for today's game. And not much has changed since we had this podcast yesterday where we were previewing the action. But Servassier Dennis is out with the hip, and Rashad Wisdom didn't make it back from injured reserve, still out with the quad injury. Tyke Smith doubtful to play tonight. I have not been told if they're going to give him a game time decision chance or not at all. Same with Cade Otton, doubtful. Usually when players are doubtful, they don't play. Usually when they're questionable, they legitimately have a chance to play. We will see Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan play tonight because they were activated to the active roster. The Bucs cutting C.J. Brewer, the defensive tackle, and Ryan Miller, the wide receiver. The expectation is those players will be signed to the practice squad, assuming they clear waivers, which we think that they will. Jorgensen Law PA, the official injury report sponsor of Pewter Report and the official attorney group of Pewter Report. Make sure you visit them on the web at jorgensenlawoffice.com, jorgensenlawoffice.com, or give them a call, 727-347-7733 if you have any needs in personal injury, workers' comp, or Social Security. But, Matt, is it a blessing or a curse that Servassier Dennis is out against the Falcons? Because he has struggled in pass coverage, certainly covering running backs. We saw that in week 1 with Bijan Robinson. He's gotten better since then. But is Deion Jones or Nick Jackson or Stephen Bullock any better?
I'm intrigued by Nick Jackson because going back to training camp, it was him and John Bullock who were fighting for like the last spot in, on the roster, or at least in the inside linebacker room. And John Bullock got the job for what he was able to do on special teams versus like a down-to-down inside linebacker. Because if you're talking about a traditional defense, to me, Nick Jackson was the better inside linebacker than John Bullock. And that's, that's not a knock on John Bullock or anything like that. But Nick Jackson was the one making plays, blitzing, making tackles and stuff like that. So he's been here. He's been on the practice squad all season long. It's not like he hasn't been playing football. I mean, he hasn't been playing like in actual games and stuff like that.
Right.
But knowing the, I guess, greater scheme with the inside linebacker room with Levante David likely retiring after this season, Deion Jones certainly not a long-term answer, and Servassier Dennis being so peaks and valleys in his game, why not give Nick Jackson an opportunity and say, hey, kid, let's see what you got. Let's see if you're going to be part of the mix as maybe somebody that could factor into the inside linebacker situation going into next season. Now, obviously, the Bucs have bigger fish to fry with winning the division, winning tonight's game. But I would not mind at all seeing some type of platoon situation with Deion Jones and Nick Jackson. John Bullock, too. But I just go back to the preseason where we really watched these guys play inside linebacker versus special teams. And I think Nick Jackson is head and shoulders above John Bullock, specifically as an inside linebacker. So I hope we get to see him play more than just like a couple of snaps in this one.
Yeah, we just got our Pewter preview and predictions published on pewterreport.com. I just dropped that in the chat, so make sure you check that out either during the show or after the show. There was a split decision. This wasn't like everyone picking the Bucs to beat the Saints last week.
I like that.
Yes. Matt, we're not going to share what Sly and Josh and Bailey predicted. I'll let the readers check that out. We don't want to spoil the whole column for you. But Matt, your pick for tonight's game.
Yeah, so to be honest with everybody, my pick has less to do with the X's and O's of this specific matchup of the Bucs and the Falcons, and more to do with just the overall blueprint of what this team has been under Todd Bowles since he's been the head coach. It started out hot. This year it was 5-1. Go through a losing streak. They've lost 5 of 7. You have a stub your toe game. That was against the Saints on Sunday. And then when the Bucs are on the edge of the cliff, and since we're in Christmas season, like the Grinch with all the presents at the end of Whoville, and then he decides, oh, wait, no, I want to bring it back.
Yeah.
That's when the Bucs inexplicably rally off a couple of wins and then end up winning the division. I think that winning streak starts tonight on Thursday Night Football. I think the addition of Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan, even if they're on a pitch count, I think that'll still open things up for Emeka Egbuka, who truly wants to right the wrongs of the mistake he made last week, who's very hard on himself. And I think it'll open things up for Bucky Irving as well. And then this could be a game where the Bucs defense still looks as porous as it's been, but one turnover, which they've been able to create turnovers this year, and that was the difference last year going against the Falcons. They didn't turn the ball over for the whole season, but this year they're able to take the ball away a bit more. To me, I think that's going to be the difference in why the Bucs win this game.
And you had them winning by a score of 31-23. So obviously Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan returning to action allows Josh Grizzard to put some more points on the board. 31-23 was your score. My score was very similar. However, don't hate me, Bucs fans, I have the Falcons winning 30-26. I'm kind of like you. It's more about the feel and the mojo of this, and you're looking at what history has dictated for this team, and you're not wrong. History has shown that this is about the time where the Buccaneers are winning and getting their act together and making that playoff push, and they've done that in each of the last 3 years. I'm just going by more recent history that to me suggests this team is 1-4 since the bye week, 2-5 since losing to the Lions on Monday Night Football. And you throw in creamsicle jerseys, a primetime game, a Thursday night game on top of that, and Kirk Cousins, and you put all that in a blender. And historically, for me, that has equaled losses for this team. So I hope I'm wrong, Matt. I hope you are right tonight, and I'm happy to eat any crow whatsoever on our Pewter Report post-game podcast tonight. Win or lose, Bucs fans, you all have been showing up, and we greatly appreciate that. You guys have maintained the energy. We're here for you, whether this team wins or loses. And we're going to kick things off tonight at 8:15, starting with the Pewter pregame show with Matt Matera and Daniel Morales. You know, Amazon Prime, I think, does a pretty good job covering the game. You're going to want to watch it there, but turn down the volume and turn up or put on a separate screen or your phone, Pewter Game Day with Matt and Daniel. Nobody has more insight into the team than Matt Matera, who's there every single day at practice. So you're not going to have to hear about all the Falcons crap. It's going to be nothing but Buccaneer talk on Pewter Game Day. And nobody beats Matt Matera's reaction to the action. Okay, let's just get that straight. Right. Then tonight, we have got a Bucs versus Falcons post-game podcast. That's going to be on pretty much right after Baker Mayfield. So there's not going to be the typical home delay. We're going to get right to it because it's going to be a later game. So make sure you join us there for the Bucs versus Falcons post-game podcast. We'll have another reaction podcast tomorrow. Hopefully it's a Victory Friday podcast. We haven't done one of those in years because this team has not won Thursday night games traditionally. But hopefully we'll have that tomorrow earlier in the afternoon, time to be determined. And then on Monday, special guest Bucs Hall of Famer Rondé Barber. We're going to spend a little bit of time maybe going down memory lane, but a lot of the time is going to be focused on what's going on with this Buccaneer team. How are they looking down the stretch? And let's peek into 2026. Is Todd Bowles the coach of this team? What has to change for the Buccaneers to rise up and get to the next level? So a lot of great podcasts coming your way.
No doubt about it. Should be fun. I hope it's fun.
Yeah.
The Bucs keep it entertaining one way or another,
That's
but
right.
we want a winning type of entertaining.
Yeah, we've had some entertaining some entertaining comments already in the chat. I've been keeping my eye on you.
Yes,
Blitz the hell out of Cousin. I would love that. I would love to see Todd
absolutely.
Bowles just throw everything at this guy and damn the torpedoes. Sick and tired of the soft zone where you're just going to allow a pocket passer with a quick release to just fire away. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Good morning, Pewter people from snowy Albany, New York. From Erica Deaver. Thank you very much. Matt, I was thinking about this tonight. You're a Northerner, right? You were born in New York. I was raised most of my life in Kansas City, and it's been I've been here for 30 years, right? My blood has thinned out when I look at the temperature of the game tonight, and I'm going to be in the press box, which sometimes is chilly and sometimes it's like just right. But for you Buccaneer fans out there, at the end of the game, it's going to be 49 degrees. So make sure you bundle up, wear a coat, a sweatshirt, a hoodie. Okay. My blood is thinned out. How about you, Matt Matera? I mean, I'm older.
No, it absolutely has. That's why I look forward to like the 60-degree days where it's like, oh, this is chilly. Like,
I know.
Wow, I can wear a sweatshirt. I can put on a tracksuit or something like that.
Yeah.
It feels great. It was awesome being at practice yesterday.
Yeah.
It was perfect conditions where had a nice quarter zip going and it's prime weather. You got to take advantage of it because it doesn't get cold too much here in Tampa. I do remember the year they hosted the college football national championship with the Bama and Clemson, the year Clemson won. For whatever reason, it was freezing that week in Tampa when they had the game. And I felt bad for everybody traveling in. But good place to live here in Tampa.
Let's get to the super chats here, and then we'll continue on with our Bucs versus Falcons preview. We're looking forward to tonight's game. The only thing I hate about night games now is the fact that I'm older and like I got to stay up late and I want to just go to bed. But aside from that, I don't like waiting all day for football. I like just waking up and like doing football. So the fact I'm kind of jonesing for this game, and we've got like 10 hours to go, or not 9 hours to go, 11 hours to go.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, Real Maverick.
Well, in the meantime, we can watch the Bucs documentary.
Oh yeah, that's right. It comes out today.
The Real Maverick, thank you for this $10 super chat. Says excited for one reason. The interview you did with Josh Grizzard in the preseason, he answered a question you asked him with McMillan. Was the key to or most important his offense. We get to see that even in a small sample.
Yeah. I don't know how much impact I'm expecting from Jalen McMillan, who's celebrating there with Mike Evans. It's going to be fun to have those guys back. With Mike, he's caught a touchdown this year. He's got catches, he's got yards, he's played in games. It's kind of been 3 games on, then he had the hamstring, then he comes back for like a half against the Lions, and then breaks the clavicle. He's gotten his feet wet this season. Jalen McMillan has not played since he got turned upside down. His world got turned upside down like Stranger Things against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't have any expectations for Jalen McMillan. I mean, I think I did like a prop bet. I think like what's his over under like 13.5 yards or something. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. But I don't know. I mean, he's coming back in a big game. He's going to be super excited. Probably super nervous too. I would be, with my neck not really taking a hit. I'm sure they've put a helmet on him and whacked him with the pad, Matt. I'm sure they've done a couple of things to test him, to medically clear him. But, he hasn't been tackled and slammed to the ground where his head's, hitting the turf. That's just different. And so can I see him get a little sloppy in his routes? Can I see him dropping some passes? Yeah, I kind of expect that a little bit. I expect more rust to have to be shaken off from him than I do Mike Evans. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he just comes out and just balls out. But I don't know what to expect from Jalen McMillan tonight.
Yeah, definitely have more expectations for Mike than I do Jalen McMillan. And, Josh Grizzard has talked about it even a little bit more than Todd Bowles. But like when Chris Godwin Jr. came back 3 weeks ago, he played about 36% of the snaps, and then the following week he played 66, and then was at 69% this most recent game. I expect that to be similar, probably more for Mike, and then Jalen McMillan. I would probably expect even less than that. I think maybe like 20% of the snaps or something like that. Maybe Mike gets ramped up a little bit more because we're not talking about like the hamstring injury is so far in the rear view mirror. Remember, it was the collarbone that that took him out since week 7.
Yeah.
So like with that, sure, conditioning will still be a bit of a factor, but I think they want to get Mike a little bit more involved and then say, hey, Jalen, let's give you a shot on this one. So yeah, definitely think that Mike will probably have his imprint on this game a little bit more. If Jalen McMillan provides anything, I mean, that's just awesome. Full Ross, thank you for this $4.99 super chat. Says, great content as always, guys. Thank you. Hoping for a victory Friday. Prediction is Bucs win 23-20. Godwin has a big game, 7 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown.
I like the exactness of that prediction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We're kind of getting lost a little bit. The fact that Chris Godwin's been back, he's made some plays for this offense, and he's going to benefit just as much as Emeka Egbuka is, right? With the return of Jalen McMillan and the return of Mike Evans, it just means less double coverage on those guys, and the Falcons are really going to have to pick and choose who they're going to double and on what down and distance and what personnel grouping and formation, and that was the grand plan when they added Emeka Egbuka to this, and like, okay, they're waiting for Chris Godwin to get back after a couple games, and then gosh, by midseason, you have all 4 of these guys rolling together. And it just kind of creates that scenario that Tom Brady thrived in, Matt, which was during that Super Bowl run. You've got Antonio Brown and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Rob Gronkowski, right?
Mm-hmm.
A good defense can take away 2 of those guys. A great defense can take away 3. I mean, if you have like a star-studded secondary and throw in like an all-pro linebacker or something, you can take away 3 of those guys with man coverage and bracketing this guy, but you can't take away 4. And that was the secret sauce to Tom Brady, was he would just sit there, look at the matchup and say, oh, look at Mike on this one. Pre-snap and know where the ball is going, or AB on this one. And pre-snap and then just throw it in that direction. And that's why when AB pieced out on the Bucs and Gronk retired in 2022, the whole offense regressed. Tom Brady regressed. Everything regressed. And Byron Leftwich got exposed because all Brady had was Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And good defenses can take away 2 receivers, right? And great wins can certainly take away 3. So let's see with 4 real legit weapons now what Baker Mayfield and Josh Grizzard can do.
Yeah, I mean, he's finally getting everything at his disposal. We've talked about how he's been behind the 8 ball, and that's why I said earlier in the week, we've been giving grades for Josh Grizzard, and it feels like maybe he can't truly get graded until these last 4 games of the season, and it certainly starts tonight. And very excited to see what the Yale graduate can come up.
Yeah. Now, I think you're right. I'll just stop there for a second and say, I would love for, if anything, and we'll see what happens with the coaching staff and all of this stuff and how the season ends and what the record is and if they go to the playoffs and stuff. But yes, I'm with you. I would love for these 4 final games, nobody else friggin' get hurt on this team, especially in offense, just so we can have like a quarter. Like, let's just grade the final quarter of Josh Grizzard. What was he able to do at pretty much close to full strength with Bucky back and all the receivers back? And, and I don't really care about K-Dot, and he probably is not going to play. Let's see Devin Culp. Let's see Payne Durham. And, I know he's got 2 guards that are not up there, with the starting caliber as Ben Bredesen and Cody Mauch. But let's just see how it looks and what it looks like.
Sunnysides 05 has not been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 16 months. Thank you so much
OG
for your
right
support.
There.
That's great. Says Bucs are desperate, might as well try anything. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite lines in all of movies and sports movies is the water boy, where at the end the announcer keeps going, last game of the year, can't hold anything back. I used to joke with that all the time with Trevor Sycamore when he'd be watching the Bucs game. I know it's technically not the last game of the year, but the kitchen sink should be thrown
Yes.
out for every single possibility. And I think this comment was right around the time we were talking about Nick Jackson
That's right.
on defense and maybe playing in there. Try different stuff. See what the hell works. Because if you don't make the playoffs, you're not going to have a chance to try this next season because you're
That's
likely not going to be coaching in Tampa or playing in Tampa, depending on who you are. And shout out to Michael Wags.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of people got to be working right now. And
Right.
Michael says, live from the cubicle at work, it's the Pewter Report pregame
There we
show.
go.
Well, thank you so much for watching us live from your cubicle. And thanks to everyone watching wherever you're watching from.
For sure.
Cuse44, thank you for this $5 super chat. Says, are we keeping Sean Tucker next year, Scott? What's the scuttlebutt? Is he a free agent?
So he is a restricted free agent. And it's going to be interesting because he's got 5 touchdowns on the year. He certainly got more playing time this year with the injury to Bucky Irving than he did last year, where it's kind of like a one-game wonder, right, with like a couple other games sprinkled in. He's really had an opportunity to kind of show the league who he is and what he can be. And he's improved in pass protection. He's done enough things to get on the field and earn the coach's trust. It hasn't been the Rachaad White show, right? This has really been a 1-2 punch. And there have been some games where Tucker has been featured more and been more productive than Rachaad White. So having said all that, he's a restricted free agent. How much will they tender him? That's going to kind of be the key. The fact that he is an unrestricted free agent means they're going to have to tender him at a much higher amount. They can't just sit there and tender him. If he had like a 4th round pick or something like that, or 5th round pick attached to him, then, that would be the compensation that another team would have to give up to get Sean Tucker to sign a matching offer. So the fact that he's an undrafted free agent, he's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than even the Bucs want to pay, but I think he's proven his worth. Can also return kicks. So I think he's very much a part of this team next year. The biggest thing, though, will be, what is Rachaad White's asking price?
Exactly.
What would he fetch on the market? And then do you want to keep Rachaad White or Sean Tucker? Because it might not be a situation, or maybe it is. We'll see how they manage their cap a little bit. They're going to have to spend some money on defense, Matt. That's the thing. Do they want to sit there and invest, comparable money in Rachaad White and Sean Tucker, even at like, let's say $5-6 million a year, something like that? Do they want to do that and have 3 running backs, only 1 ball, but 3 running backs that are getting paid a decent amount? Both of those guys would be making more than Bucky Irving, the starter. Or do they want to sit there and say, we'll take 1, and then the other money's got to be spent on the defensive side? It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to the future of Sean Tucker with the Bucs is, how does Tampa Bay feel about Rachaad White? Because it's clear Rachaad White has a role on this team as the 3rd down running back, and a lot of times they're in shotgun. He's in the game.
Yeah.
It's been awesome what Sean Tucker has done when they feed him, when they give him the rock, and when he's played in a lot of games. But we also have to be realistic. When Bucky Irving is healthy and available, or really when all 3 are available, Sean Tucker just doesn't see the field that much as a running back. Even in last week's game, Sean Tucker was maybe the best running back out of the 3, and he was really on for that one drive where he ended up scoring a touchdown. But how do you allocate more money than you would pay someone in Sean Tucker's situation for a guy that's only going to play if your other running backs are hurt? Now, you can't afford to lose both of them, because I don't think you want to go in with Bucky, then an undrafted free agent, and then, a retread running back that's, maybe got 1 more season left in him.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a storyline for this offseason.
Yep.
Kyle PV5KH, thank you for this $10 super chat. Says,
thank you, Kyle.
Long-time listener, first-time chat.
Right,
Welcome to the chat, Kyle. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Says, I am terrified for the Bucs defense tonight.
Me too.
How do we keep the Falcons under 30 points without Tyke Smith? Just lie to me and say everything will be all right.
I love that. Kyle, I'll tell you how it happens. Takeaways. That's the thing. If they can stop some of these Falcons drives from reaching the end zone, and I think they got to play better red zone defense too, Matt. I think that's the thing. Play better red zone defense, force field goals rather than the touchdowns. That's look back at last week, right? I mean, the Saints scored 24 points, 3 touchdowns, right? 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal. You flip that and the Buccaneers win the game. If you hold the Saints to 3 field goals and 1 touchdown, it's a different story. And so that's the problem, is this defense has been too soft, not just in coverage, but soft. This is a soft defense. And that's part of the reason why I like the return of Jason Pierre-Paul. Not sure if he's going to play tonight. I think they have to 4 o'clock to elevate him. If they do, I'd be surprised if they did. He just got to town. I mean, it's like we talk about them adding him to the practice squad as a desperate move. If they play him tonight, Matt, that would be the bottom barrel of desperation. That would be like, we trust Jason Pierre-Paul more than we do Chris Braswell and Anthony Nelson and Marquise Watts to get to the quarterback. And you know what?
Who've been here the whole season.
That may be a fair assessment. I might trust Jason Pierre-Paul too, the way he looked in the locker room. I mean, the dude is, holy shit, is he jacked? He
strikes fear into opponents.
He looked better, like just physically, than he did when he was here. I mean, you can tell he has been working out hard. We'll see what he has left in the tank. I have no idea. But the defense, if they're going to stop Kirk Cousins, slow down Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, they've got to take the ball away. They've got to force fumbles, recover fumbles, pick off passes. They've got to win the turnover margin. And I want to say they probably have to get 3 takeaways tonight to have a chance to win. I'm not sure 2 does it.
They have to freaking blitz. They have to collapse the pocket around Kirk Cousins. And then to me, the biggest thing, that honestly doesn't have anything to do with the Bucs defense, but no Drake London for the Falcons. That's gigantic because he's their best receiver and their best offensive player, their second best offensive player after Bijan Robinson. That's a huge loss.
It is
for the Falcons. I mean, he's been out, but huge that he's not in this game specifically. Because he's played better against the Bucs in Atlanta versus in Tampa, but he's still given the Bucs fits. Aaron Watson, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, good morning from frosty Minnesota. Very frosty Minnesota.
Yeah.
Moved here 3 years ago, but will always be a Bucs fan. I've lost a lot of faith though this year.
Yeah,
you're not alone, buddy.
Yeah.
Everyone, I shouldn't say everyone. A lot of people have lost faith in the Bucs, and understandably so. They do the same thing every year.
Yeah,
I think you nail on the head with the soft zone that they've played. It seems like every season they revert to that too much, and then teams pick it apart. Falcons last year was a prime example. Saints on Sunday was a prime example too.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that against Kirk Cousins. He feeds into that. That's where he feels comfortable getting rid of the ball. And they have some guys. They've got Kyle Pitts. They've got Darnell Mooney. They've got some players they can hit across the middle of the field. Remember Kadero Hodge? I think he was the one that had the touchdown, the walk-off touchdown in overtime on a simple slant pattern where on Thursday night last year, where Zion McCollum went for the pass breakup and missed, and then, of course, missed the tackle, and he was off to the races, and the Falcons came back to beat the Buccaneers in overtime last year.
The Real Maverick, thank you for this $10 super chat. Says, Bull's loyalty and unwillingness to go away from failing players and poor coaches will at some point cost him his job. Not sure it will be this year at some point. You have to go all in / shake it up, shake things up.
There's going to be a shakeup coming, whether Todd Bowles likes it or not this offseason. They're going to have to make some coaching changes. This is not a very well-coached football team. It just isn't, especially on the defensive side.
The same thing the last 3 seasons. Same mistakes, same soft zone, same
pretty much same
field,
coaching.
wide open. Yeah.
Pretty much same coaching. And they got to make some changes. Otherwise, I don't.
The only change was Casey Rogers, and that was because Casey Rogers chose to leave and go to Detroit. It wasn't like he was let go or anything like that.
That's kind of telling too. When the Todd Bowles stalwart friend and coaching ally leaves. Yeah.
Cody Parsons, thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, good morning, guys. Question for both of you. If you were the defensive coordinator for this team with the same 11 starters on defense, what scheme would you run and why? Well, I wouldn't freaking drop the outside linebackers pass coverage. I'll start with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. I would run a lot more man coverage, and I would do a lot more blitzing without the zone fire blitz concept, which is where you're bringing Levante David, but you're dropping Yaya Diaby and all of that. If I'm going to blitz, I'm keeping my front 4 rushing the quarterback, and then I'm bringing a safety, a nickel back, a linebacker, and then I'm playing man. I'm going to go down swinging man coverage, And I'm just going to be super aggressive. I'm going to blitz a lot more. I'm going to require my corners. So it's a lot more single high. I'm probably going to go cover 0 more than Todd Bowles likes to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take my chances, because right now, what do you have to lose? Right? It's either, die a quick death or die a slow, painful one with 1,000 cuts with the soft zone getting picked apart. The other thing too is you throw more bodies at the line of scrimmage. If a team wants to run the ball, and I credit Todd Bowles for doing a lot of blitzing on first down, because that helps stop running backs. Because it's like, you're sending pressure at the quarterback. If they go play action, you got a blitz coming on right there. So that usually helps. But if they are handing the ball off, you're sending another safety or linebacker into the box to crash and clog things up. So that's what I would do. And I would probably go more with I might even throw some more dime coverage in there if everyone's healthy, and get one linebacker off the field.
Limit the linebackers off the field. I think that would help big time, especially, trying to slow down Bijan Robinson if he's going to be out in the flat and get a pass there. I think specifically for this matchup against Atlanta as well. Bowles likes to do a lot of on third down. He'll put everyone up at the line of scrimmage, act like they're going to blitz, and then drop them back. And I don't think that's a great idea when you have a slower Levante David and, slower guys at the linebacker. But what I would do, because it's Kirk Cousins who's not mobile that much, they've had success blitzing, obviously, with the safeties, but Jacob Parrish as well. But sometimes when it's a safety blitz, if they're not immediately up at the line of scrimmage, or it's Parrish or a corner, those blitzes still take a little bit more time because you're further away from the line of scrimmage, so it takes longer to develop. In this game against Kirk Cousins, I'm blitzing right up the A-gap with either Levante or Deion Jones or one of the rookie inside linebackers. Because if you are blitzing directly up the middle, Cousins will see it for sure. You're either going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, but you have a better tackler with Jamel Dean and with Jacob Parrish versus, the blitz is coming, let me throw it to the side, and then Levante's got to have to chase Bijan Robinson or, another, or Tyler Algier as well. Levante's still a pretty capable blitzer.
I agree.
So I would send him up the A-gap and then force Cousins to, if he has to roll out, then he plays right into the arms of Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby. So I think that would be the way to go in this game.
I'm with you. And to me, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier on a previous podcast this week, where it's like when it's 4th and 1, I don't like operating out of shotgun because you need 1 yard. The ball's coming back, 2.5, 3 yards, and then it has to go forward 2.5, 3 yards to get to the line of scrimmage. And then you need a yard, right? So I just don't understand that premise because of the time it takes. And I understand they're waiting for like a block to develop and a hole to open, but you need a yard. Get under center, create the hole immediately and power through. Same thing, Matt. What's the point of showing blitz and having Levante David at 35 right in the gap, and then he needs to drop back and get back to where he originally was going to be at the linebacker level, and then even further to get to his landmark in pass coverage. And I just don't think he can cover ground that quickly enough anymore. And I don't think Servasi Dennis is a fantastic athlete. He's not playing tonight, but same with 30-year-old Deion Jones. If you're going to show blitz, go, right?
Right.
Otherwise, and if you want to blitz from a delay standpoint, that's fine. But I don't understand. They don't have the athletes at linebacker to show blitz and then drop back and get to the landmarks. It's just not working.
Where even the simple stuff is a lot for these guys because they're older and slower and stuff like that. And part of why you run what they do with putting up everyone at the line of scrimmage and then dropping them back is the element of surprise. But they do it every week, so it's not surprising anymore.
Yeah.
HB Livin, thanks for the $4.99 super chat, says, my wife says quit being so cheap and give these guys $5, LOL. It's been dismal lately. I think we squeaked by tonight like the Cardinals game. Well, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And,
thanks to your wife for coercing you to give us $5.
Thank you to your wife as well. Bucs don't make things easy. They never do. Yeah. They don't really have a lot of blowout wins this year. So, why would it be any different?
At this point in the season, you win by 1 point and it still counts as a win. And you just got to win by 1 point in all these games and get to the playoffs and then see what happens. And hopefully you get your mojo back, you get some momentum back with some of these wins, you get some healthy bodies back, and then we'll see what happens. That's what the Bucs are hoping for. But as I've said before, hope is not a strategy.
And B. Shucker, thank you for this $5 super chat. Says, thanks as always, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, B. Shucker.
Appreciate all your positivity. And so thank you.
All right, Matt, let's get to your area of expertise. Not just the Buccaneers, but some point spreads and everything. So the point spread for this week's Bucs game, Tampa Bay -4.5. It jumped to 4. Now it's to 4.5. Presented by Splash Sports. Matt, tell us about Splash Sports.
Yeah, shout out to Splash Sports. You can get the best daily fantasy boosts with their quick picks over on Splash Sports. Make sure you download the app and you can start playing Splash Sports today with their quick picks, where you're just picking the over-unders on certain player stats. They have it for football, college football, NBA, NHL, all the major sports you have it. They have weekly tournaments as well, like pick'ems. They have weekly prize pools where, you can bet $10, win $1,000 if you want to do a pick'em and you're picking every single game. So legitimately, they have the best payouts, the best odds. You can get 20, 50, 100% boosts on certain odds at Splash Sports as well. And then as far as the spread today for
How you
tonight's
feeling about
game,
that?
it's a tricky one because it started at 4. It's fluctuated from 4 and 4.5. And that was even earlier in the week before we knew about Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan.
Right.
To me, it should go up a little bit more with Evans and McMillan returning, especially Evans. But because the Bucs have played so bad, I think Vegas is looking at the fact that the Falcons have been just as bad as Tampa Bay has. Now, we've been very Bucs focused, and obviously so, because that's the team that we cover. But this is an Atlanta team that got blown out by the Seahawks last game. This is an Atlanta team that got beat by the New York Jets, who only have 3 wins on the season. So, that's a pretty bad loss. This is a team that blew a double-digit point lead against the Panthers in the fourth quarter. You think that game was important? I was watching that game saying, come on, Falcons, help out the Bucs. And they didn't. So I would probably knock down a point on this and put it at 3, because I think Vegas is valuing how bad the Falcons have been versus how bad the Bucs have been. But Vegas typically gets this to a T. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and maybe Vegas is not taking into account the creamsicle record, right? And these players on the orange jerseys, but here we are. Let's check out some of our key matchups for today's game. Let's start with the Bucs offense versus the Falcons defense. Baker Mayfield has thrown 4 interceptions down the stretch here and not enough touchdowns. But as Josh Grizzard said, some of those interceptions, not really fair, right? There was the Cade Otton where he had the ball and then Kobe Durant ripped it out of his hands for a pick 6 in the Rams game. And Baker, that's happened twice this year where Cade Otton's had a ball and had it ripped from his hands and given Baker an interception. He did throw kind of a wounded duck Hail Mary that didn't really count. That wasn't like a bad read or something, but he's also had some interceptions drop. Baker Mayfield simply not playing great football right now. Is that going to change tonight? Xavier Watts, if the Falcons have done one thing right this year, they've gotten some pretty good defensive rookies. And Xavier Watts is one of those players that we liked coming out of the draft from Notre Dame. He leads this team with 3 interceptions, Matt, and he was a ball hawk at Notre Dame. He's having more interceptions this year than Jesse Bates, and he's usually the ball hawk. So what do you think about this matchup here? Does Baker Mayfield stay away from Xavier Watts, or does Watts continue to really shine as a Falcons rookie safety?
I got to go with Xavier Watts. I wanted the Bucs to get him and pair him with Benjamin Morrison when Watts was still available in the draft. I love the speed that he has. He's shown the ability to take the football the way. And let's face it, Baker could not throw the football down the field last game. Now, was that more of the rain versus just players not being able to get open? But the whole offense has struggled over the last 3 weeks for sure. Baker's failed to throw for over 200 yards in his last 3 or 4 games. So, I don't know. The offense needs to get back on track. They have it in them. But I got to go with Xavier Watts. I mean, he's got the speed to break on a pass. And you're right, because some of the interceptions have not been Baker's fault. Cameron Johnson has to keep running on that route against the Saints. But there's been other ones that have been dropped and should have been an interception.
Yeah.
So I focus on those a little bit more, and I say Xavier Watts is the dude that's going to take that ball away if he gets that opportunity. So I'm going to go with Watts.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the push. I could see Watts having a big play. I could see Baker bouncing back tonight. I could see Baker turning into bad Baker. I could see a lot of things. I don't know what to say or what to pick. I'm just going to go with the push and chicken out on that one. So the Bucs running backs versus the Falcons linebackers. Now, Trey Anderson has been out for pretty much this year, but they've gotten some pretty good play from their linebackers regardless of that. Caden Ellis has played really, really well. And Divine Diablo, which is a player I really liked coming out of Virginia Tech. He was a safety, and he's made the transition to linebacker since he has been in the league. Very fast, very athletic guy. The Raiders didn't re-sign him, and I kind of wanted the Bucs to get him in free agency, but the Falcons did instead. He's actually been a pretty good, rangy linebacker, solid against the run, and has made some plays as well. Diablo right now, he's not the guy that is going to be making a ton of tackles. He's got 48 on the year. He's got half a sack, but he's got 4 pass breakups and a fumble recovery. So he and Caden Ellis, who leads the team in tackles with 88, and Ellis is their star. He's got 3.5 sacks, 4 pass breakups. He's got an interception and a forced fumble. They're a little bit more formidable than you think, but I got a feeling this running game, at least they do one thing well. They run the ball really well, whether it's Sean Tucker, whether it's Bucky Irving, whether it's Rashad White. I think the key tonight for Josh Grizzard is to find the right running back, and maybe it's not Bucky. I think he's leaned on Bucky a little bit too much.
If agree.
Sean Tucker's having a night, let's go with him. But I'm going to go with the Bucs running backs tonight. I think they get the job done.
So am I. And I love Bucky. We all love Bucky. But I think it's important to understand as well, Bucky doesn't need to be the guy that shoulders all of the load and, plays 70% more than the other 2 running backs. Because even that Saints game, that drive right there with Rashad White and Sean Tucker that led to a rushing touchdown for Sean Tucker, that was when they were the best running the football. Yeah. Yes, Bucky had the most explosive play towards the end of the game. But besides that, Bucky was getting stumped time after time after time. They don't have to be 100% balanced, but at the same time, don't be afraid to go with the hot hand. Don't be afraid to mix it up a little bit. All 3 guys have different skill sets. I think it gives different looks as well going against these Falcons running back inside linebackers. And let's also remember, and I guess we'll talk about this next with the Bucs tackles, but the return of Tristan Wirfs. Remember, he was not in that game on Sunday. Anytime you have arguably the best offensive tackle in the league playing, that's going to be better for your running game, your passing game, and really just your offense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Bucs running backs have a chance to start tonight for Tampa Bay. The Bucs offensive tackles, you mentioned Tristan Wirfs comes back. Luke Gedeke, I think, has played a really good football this year when he's been out there. The Falcons edge rushers, got to give them credit. They went out and they're not going to have a first-round pick next year because they traded back to get James Pierce out of Tennessee in the first round after drafting Jalen Walker. Pierce has actually been the better pass rusher, and that's not much of a surprise because he was a true edge coming out of Tennessee, where Walker was kind of a hybrid inside linebacker, edge rusher type. Probably going to take a little bit of time to get him to really be more of that edge rusher. But he's got 6 sacks, 33 pressures, and Walker's done a fair job too. He's got 5 sacks. Both of these guys are capable. They're not busts. Are they going to be Pro Bowl type players that live up to first round draft billings? We'll see. Time will tell. But so far, so good for these young edge rushers. I think this is the game though where the Buccaneers tackles, the $20+ million guys, they need to step up and say, not today, Satan. We are the pros here. You're the rookies. We're going to treat you as such, and you're not going to rise up tonight. And I'm going to, with some faith and hope, expect that Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke get the job done, just like Gedeke and Ben Chikwuma did last week with Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson, and Chase Young. I think Tampa Bay's tackles get the job done tonight.
Very impressed by the Falcons' rookie edge rushers, and they will be an issue for Tampa Bay in the division for several upcoming seasons. But the Bucs offensive tackles, they've played some very important football in their careers. Tristan Wirfs is a Super Bowl champion. Luke Gedeke has played in must-win games. He's played in postseason games. He's won a postseason. When the going gets tough and your back's against the wall, that's when you have to play your best football, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen tonight with the Bucs offensive tackles. I think we got a top-notch performance from what were they calling themselves? Bench row records. So
yeah,
Bucs tackles.
Yep. Chris Godwin Jr. versus the nickel cornerback D. Alford tonight. I think Godwin is back. He's shown some explosiveness that I was really afraid that we wouldn't maybe see till next year. But golly, man, credit Chris Godwin for just pushing ahead and willing his body to get as much explosion back as possible. And I think it's a really good sign heading into next year. Of course, this guy's in a contract for 2 more years. He'll be 30 next year, but at over $22 million a year, you need Chris Godwin to be closer to that player that was lighting the league on fire last year. We're not going to see that Chris Godwin this year. But Matt, the fact that we've seen some explosive plays, including one last week, shows me that Cardinals game wasn't just a one-off. And I like this matchup, even though D. Alford is a pro. I think Chris is going to shine tonight. I think he is going to benefit from having Mike and Jalen out there just as much as Emeka Egbuka. I'm going to take Chris Godwin in this matchup.
Getting a lot of targets, too. Had a lot of targets in that game against the Saints, and obviously the weather will be a little bit better. I'm going to go with a push. I like the improvement from Chris Godwin Jr. Now it's just time to eliminate some of the slip-ups. He dropped the touchdown against the Cardinals. He dropped that 4th down play against the Saints in a crucial moment. Chris Godwin Jr. is an all-time player for Tampa Bay, so maybe I hold him to higher expectations than other players. So I'm going to go with a push. He just needs to clean up some of the small mistakes that have hurt this team.
And Mike Evans return versus A.J. Terrell, who is their top corner, their former first-round pick. Terrell has gotten the better of Mike sometimes. Mike's gotten the better of A.J. Terrell. I'm with you, Matt. Even if he plays in a pitch count tonight, put him down there by the red zone. Give him those fade passes in the end zone that Mike is so accustomed to making turn into touchdowns. And I think Baker Mayfield has really sorely missed having that 6'5" guy that can go up and grab that rebound off the glass down there in the back of the end zone. So I'm not going to bet against Mike, man. This is a big game. Mike shines in big moments. I think he wants to atone for this season not turning out the way that he has wanted it to, not just by not getting 1,000 yards, but by suffering that injury. I think Mike's return tonight, I think he plays hard and comes back with a vengeance. I like Mike Evans against A.J. Terrell tonight.
I would love to see him in the red zone and at the goal line because it at least forces Atlanta to make a decision. Are you going to play Mike one-on-one, or are you going to shadow more coverage at him, and that opens things up for Tampa Bay to run it or, get someone else open? I'm going to go with a push just because it's been so long since we've seen Mike. I never want to doubt him, so I won't pick against him. So I'll go with a push. You're muted, Scott.
There we go. We're going to do a little pushing ourselves. We're going to push a really good idea your way. Tonight is a big game, and if you're looking for a big plate of apps, that's it right there. That's the starting lineup sampler at Walk-Ons. The fan favorite is back. You can get the mozzarella logs, the boneless wings, and the cheeseburger sliders. That's a great way to start any game night. 3 Tampa Bay area locations: Wesley Chapel, Midtown Tampa down there by the stadium, and Lakeland. And if you're going to the game, you might want to stop by and get some catering for your tailgate tonight. You can take your event to the next level with Walk-On's Catering to serve up the win. Their brand new app has got the ability to order catering, or you can order directly on the web at catering.walkons.com. Or if you're not going to the game, you're going to watch the game at home, go ahead and pick up Walk-On's Catering at one of those 3 locations: Wesley Chapel, Midtown Tampa, or Lakeland, and enjoy Walk-On's food at home tonight with your crew. Let's get to these final defensive matchups here, Matt. Let's start with Zion McCollum, who got his first interception of the season last week, versus Darnell Mooney, a player that has some speed and he's smaller. Typically, Zion does well against shorter, quicker receivers than he does the bigger receivers. But I think you're going to see some David Sills versus him too. He's a big 6'4" receiver, and we saw how Devon Vele at 6'5" gave both Zion and Jacob Parrish some problems last week. So let's just kind of combine these. Zion McCollum and Jacob Parrish. Neither has been playing good football lately, versus Mooney, who's got some speed, and Sills gives them that big body that they're missing with Drake London being out. How do you see these two matchups tonight?
Yeah, I'm not convinced Zion is all the way back from his interception. I mean, that was an early Christmas gift on that miscommunication by the Saints. And Jacob Parrish has slowed down a lot. I mean, we've talked about the rookie wall with Emeka Buka, but maybe it's hit Jacob Parrish a little bit as well. This team has just struggled in pass coverage across the board, and it's not just these two guys. But Darnell Mooney can still, put in some work for the Falcons despite not having Drake London. I got to go with the Falcons receivers. I'm just that. I mean, it's not just me. A lot of us are down on, what Tampa Bay has done in the passing game, and specifically with the secondary. I got to go with Mooney and Sills.
I'm going to do the same thing. And again, we were talking about Devon Vele, and he made some critical catches, especially in the fourth quarter, to move the chains and play keep away from that Bucs defense. And I'm with you. I think a lot of Bucs fans don't know who David Sills is tonight. He played at West Virginia. They're going to find out tonight. He's a good player, and Kirk Cousins has been leaning on him without Drake London. The Bucs defensive line versus the Falcons running backs. Now, the reason I say defensive line is we've seen some busts up front, right? Think back to that Patriots game. Think back to the Lions game with Jahmyr Gibbs. They've had some breakaway runs because defensive linemen have not been hitting the right gaps up front. It's put too much stress and pressure on the linebackers and the safeties to make some of those touchdown-saving tackles. If you want to stop the run, you're going to have great surge from the defensive line. Logan Hall, Vita Vea, Elijah Roberts, Greg Gaines. Yeah. These guys are going to have to play well up front. Yaya Diaby, Hassan Reddick. If you want to stop the run, you want to stop a big back like Tyler Algier, you want to stop a breakaway back like Bijan Robinson, it starts up front by just not giving them any daylight. So if they can do their job, I like their chances. But you know what? These Falcons running backs, and even someone like Devin Neal last week, had some big runs, Matt. I'm really concerned. I don't think Tampa Bay can stop the run like they used to.
No, they can't. And I think Bijan Robinson's going to have a huge game. And Tyler Algier is a really good running back, too. I think he could be a starter on a lot of other teams in this league. So have to go with the Falcons running back duo, because Bijan is going to put up big numbers tonight. I
think so, too. The Bucs safeties versus Kyle Pitts, and they're not going to have Tyke Smith tonight, so it's going to fall on Christian Izien and Antoine Winfield Jr. And we've seen what Kyle Pitts has done against the Bucs, which is more than he does against other teams. So you take Kirk Cousins, who's plays like Superman against the Bucs, but Clark Kent like everybody else. It's kind of the same thing for Kyle Pitts. Pitts scored 4 touchdowns last year. 2 of them came against the Bucs. He had his 2 most productive games against Tampa Bay, with over 80 yards in each of those games. I don't know what it is about Kyle Pitts playing the Buccaneers, but they make him look like the first rounder he was when he was the 4th overall pick years ago. And against everybody else, he's kind of just a guy. But without Tyke Smith tonight, I'm scared to death. So I'm going to have to go with Kyle Pitts, unfortunately, just based upon his track record of success against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but I'm actually going to go with the Bucs safeties because I'm a fan of Christian Izien. I think he's all hustle, a lot of heart.
Yeah. Played well last week, 8 tackles, and he only played a half.
Right, and he didn't have a full week to prepare because it is a shorter week. But I also think this puts a lot more on the shoulders of Antoine Winfield Jr., knowing he doesn't have Tyke Smith. So I'm predicting a big game for Antoine Winfield Jr., and that will likely involve having to try to stop Kyle Pitts. And while Winfield isn't the all-pro guy that he was 2 seasons ago, and we talked about that a lot on yesterday's podcast, he's still a really good player on this team. So I will, with a grain of salt, take the Bucs safeties.
Okay. Here we come. The Bucs linebackers versus Kirk Cousins. Are they going to be able to blitz and get there? Are they going to get home? We saw Levante David pick off Kirk Cousins in Atlanta last Thursday night game for Tampa Bay, which was last year. They lost that game in overtime. That should have been the winning play, but they couldn't finish that game. Or is Kirk Cousins going to do what he did twice last year, pick apart the middle of the field where those linebackers roam in coverage? Ah, boy, Kirk Cousins, Thursday night, throwback uniforms, creamsicles, Todd Bowles defense, linebacker unit that's underperforming. I got to go with Kirk Cousins, and it pains me to say that, Matt.
I'm taking them too. And it's more because of Bowles' lack of adjustments. Put it this way. If Kirk Cousins does what he did against the Bucs last season, particularly on that Thursday night game, I don't think Todd Bowles should come back and coach the game against the Falcons. Or, sorry, the game against the Panthers. Like, you cannot allow Kirk Cousins, who looks like a middle school quarterback against an NFL team, against everybody else.
That's true.
Turn into Peyton Manning.
I know.
Against this Bucs defense. It cannot happen. It absolutely cannot. And I still feel like it might. Maybe not 500 yards, but a 300-yard game from Kirk Cousins with no Drake London is still very much on the table. And it's just a sad thing to say out loud.
Yeah. A couple more super chats before we wind up today's show. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Appreciate everyone.
We've had great numbers so far. Again, this podcast, if you missed any part of it, it's going to be, on Pewter Report TV, archived. You can watch it all the way up till game time tonight, and mix in the Pewter pregame show while you're watching the Raise the Flags documentary that is debuting today on Amazon Prime. Super chat here, a couple just to end the show, Matt.
Yes, thank you to Bad Boys Barbecue 23 for the $9.99. Says, is there any real faith that our defense won't make Kirk look like an MVP candidate? Will Mike open up the offense finally? It's been hard to watch lately.
It has. And as someone who loves defense like me, it pains me to see pass rush not get home. Like a part of me died a little bit, Matt, last week, if I'm being honest, when Logan Hall missed a point blank sack attempt. And then Vita Vea was right there and he missed it. And Anthony Nelson was right there and he missed it. And Tyler Shuck scrambles 13 yards for a touchdown. I mean, that's like Keystone Cops type stuff. And it's like,
I had circus music in my head. Like as,
for me, I'm older than you, but it was like the Benny Hill, the
so, absolutely.
That was what was going through my head when I was watching this. I was like, good Lord, it hurts. It's painful when the defense doesn't play well for me, because I take defense very personally, and I'm scared to death tonight. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this defense rises up for you Bucs fans that are rooting for this team, and for the team that is legitimately trying to salvage the season, turn things around, get in position where that Panthers game is a lot more exciting because they're coming off a win, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I will say, I do think, I know these are two separate questions, but if the question was, will Kirk Cousins look more like an MVP, or will Mike open up the offense? Which one has a better chance of happening? I actually do think it's Mike opening up the offense more. Because the Bucs can still take the ball away, and if you get that in Kirk Cousins' head, then that might be why the Bucs win.
Yep.
And Ryan H., thanks for the $4.99 super chat, says, we need to get Cousins on the ground tonight. Take the penalty if we have to, but get to him. It rattles him. Go Bucs. By that, I think you mean late hit, not, injuring him and stuff like that. They're not the Saints. They're not Bounty Gate scumbags. I mean, today's NFL, you tap the quarterback and it's a penalty.
I was going to say,
don't take a penalty.
It might not even be like a dirty hit or a late hit. I mean, you can get a penalty by literally just landing on the quarterback as you're taking him to the ground too hard, which is absolute BS. I think that's just, it's criminal what Roger Goodell has done to the sport and what he's allowed it to become with these roughing the passer penalties. This is part of the game. And the quarterback is one of 22 players out there with the helmet, shoulder pads, and a uniform. And if running backs can get creamed and picked up and slammed and all of this and have hip drop tackles on wide receivers and tight ends, and an offensive lineman have concussions from ramming their helmets into each other, play after play. Quarterbacks are fair game. And I understand that the league wants to protect the quarterbacks because that's the position in what has turned into flag football in the modern era. But I'm sorry. It's like, if you knock the quarterback out of the game, your chances of winning that game usually go up. And that used to be a strategy, and not necessarily with like late hits, but hard hits. And I just missed that NFL. I missed that version of the NFL. And
right. There's a fine line between protecting the quarterbacks and then just understanding that football is a physical game. You don't want the quarterback to get hurt, but it's also like, that's the NFL. That's why you have backup quarterbacks and stuff like that. Right. Then occasionally you get cool stories of the backup quarterbacks winning games and stuff like that. Yep. Which would not be a cool story if that happened with the Falcons because their backup is Kyle Trask. So, Zether, we'll go with that. Thank you for the $5 super chat. It says, you can tell the Bucs are missing Kalijah Cansey, and I wish we could have seen David Walker. Mm-hmm. Hoping Kalijah Cansey can come back with a vengeance and David next year.
I like the first part of that last sentence. I think it's time to turn the page on Levante. And I'm not saying that out of disrespect. It just, there's a time when it's time. And I think that time is for Levante. And it was the same thing in 2008 with Derek Brooks. The film doesn't lie. The film doesn't lie. I think
he's talking about David Walker.
But... Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking Levante David. So sorry, I didn't mean to write Levante's obituary there. David Walker. Okay. I forgot about David Walker. I should have read the first part of your question. He's just been so out of mind to me because he's been on injured reserve since the first week of training camp. So I hope David Walker can come back and be a guy. But again, hope is not a strategy, Jason Light.
Right.
Like if he comes back and does anything for you next year, that is a bonus. You have to walk into 2026 almost forgetting you have him on the roster. And if he does something in training camp and he becomes the guy that is like the kind of like the outside linebacker 3/2 and he is a situational pass rusher, then great. That's a bonus. You want David Walker to be a bonus next year, not a guy that you're counting on. So words of wisdom and a cautionary tale there for GM Jason Light. Folks, I think that's going to do it for today's show. I want to let you know something. We are perilously close to getting to 22,000. So if you haven't done so, a couple things before we leave. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, like button on this video. Give it a like. Also, leave a comment. When you do those things, it helps our videos get in front of more Buccaneer fans. It puts them on the suggested column and gets more Bucs fans to our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel and to pewterreport.com, our website too. But Pewter Report TV, as of right now, our YouTube channel is at 21,972. So I would love for nothing more than by the time we have our show tonight, our post-game podcast after the game, that we're at 22,000. That would be something to celebrate. Hopefully we're celebrating a Buccaneer win for you guys as well. But help us get to 22,000. That would be a great little boost of momentum for us heading into the weekend here. And we do have a couple of announcements to make. Pewter Game Day coming up at 8:15 tonight. So make sure you're there at Pewter Report TV. You can also watch it streaming live on X and Facebook on our @Pewter Report channels. The Bucs versus Falcons post-game podcast tonight. We're going to try to get to that as soon as we can after Baker Mayfield's press conference. So stay tuned to that tonight. Again, Pewter Report TV or on X and Facebook @Pewter Report. Then on Monday's show, we're going to have a show tomorrow, kind of a post-mortem, and we'll see if the Bucs win or lose, and we'll talk about that heading into the weekend after we hear Todd Bowles speak on Friday afternoon. So an earlier show, probably 1:30, 2 o'clock-ish. So keep an eye out for that show tomorrow. But on Monday, special guest Bucs Hall of Famer Rondé Barber joins the show. We're going to be spending a lot of time talking about this year's Buccaneers. He's got a keen eye on the team, does his own podcast on WFLA. I was a part of it a couple weeks ago. The Rondé Barber Show does a great job with that. And we'll have Rondé on our show talking Bucs football and what his thoughts are heading into 2026 as well.
That's right. Looking forward to having Rondé on the show on Monday and getting his thoughts about this game, which hopefully is a Bucs win. Looking forward to this game tonight as well. So if you're not already doing so, please make sure you follow us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. We have Pewter Picks and Props out right now.
That's right.
Bucs Bright Side, obviously. Well, you guys are watching it right now, but this show will be on there as well, plus game day show and the post-game podcast and everything like that. And leave a comment. Give us a score prediction, what you think is going to happen in this game, or anything else that you believe may go down in the Creamsicle Thursday night game for the Bucs. So that's going to do it for this show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Patera saying thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you soon for another edition of the Pewter Pregame Show. Out.